So, anyone watch the golf?
Anyone cry watching it?
Amazing.
I did.
Do you know what? I'm glad you said that.
Tears in my eyes.
I'm not.
What, when he won?
Yeah.
I'm quite partial to a little cry, as you know. And
It's good for the soul.
it's not just the Italian in me. I mean, we do like a little cry, but I just thought 11 years he's been trying to do. I mean, it was incredible what he achieved last night, but boy, did he put everyone through it. I mean, I was expecting to go to bed at I thought it was done and dusted by 10 p.m, 11 p.m, and then suddenly we're there at 1:30 playoff.
But it was the easiest shots as well, wasn't it? It was the chip on the 13th that went into the water, and then it was the 130 yards on the 18th he put in the bunker. I just thought US Open all over again.
But then the shot he pulled out on the 15th,
it was a 7-iron round the corner.
Looked like your nose when you broke it, Shanks, to be fair.
I enjoyed that more. It was like watching Tyson Fury fight, wasn't it? Because he got knocked down, he got back up again. He thought, he's got no chance.
Against Wilder, it's exactly that, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then he goes in, and then he's got 125 yards. He's got a pitching wedge or something smaller, and he puts it in the bunker.
He lost it 3 times, and then he won it 4 times, didn't he? They talk about team, and he's obviously got an amazing team around him, but he's still him out there on the golf course. You know, there's no one can play the golf shots for him. He's got to go. You know, he's got to regather himself. Shanks, have you been under pressure like that as an individual in a team game like rugby?
Well, we had the kick-off in the semi-final against Leicester in 2008 or 9, I can't quite remember.
Famous penalty shootout, which never happens in rugby. Never happens.
No, it doesn't. And we had 5 kickers, so 5 genuine kickers who were sort of coached by Neil Jenkins in the team. Leicester missed, and Tom James, the left winger for Cardiff, had a chance to win it and would have got us through to the final. But he hooks it. So
Is he in front, or has he gone out to the 22?
No, all bang in front.
All bang in front.
All bang in front on the 22, which sounds easy.
Yeah, it's awful.
But as soon as you put pressure on it, it's a nightmare.
And it's just far enough for everything just to look a little bit.
You just want to kick that quickly. Don't take too much time over it.
Yeah, so
put it down, miss it.
So he messes, and then we're looking around thinking, right, who's next? Someone's going to have to go next now. So I said, right, I'll go, because there was only a couple of backs left. And I did it as fast as I could. The worst thing when you get there was like 6 different tees.
I was about to say.
So it's like, you're like that. Oh, what do I pick?
Which one did you go for?
I went for the old school blue, like Gilbert. So you know the one.
Other teas are available.
Was there a bucket of sand? Was there a bucket of sand available?
Yeah, there was a bucket of sand there because Kerry Sweeney was a kicker as well.
Could you have, back in the day, we used to go 6 kicks into the turf around and then make a little cap out of it.
That's right.
Yeah. Remember that?
Yeah. No, didn't do that. Couldn't because the pitch was too nice. Drilled it through. Richard Reese got his, and then Martin Williams famously.
Nugget.
Hooked it. Yeah, and he was the footballer, wasn't he? You know, he was a skillful.
So basically, what you're saying is, as soon as it got to the forwards, that was it. Game over, really.
The first test at the Gabba was probably one of my greatest rugby memories. That roar of lions.
At what moment do you flick the switch as a player? Phil used to go quite early.
Wednesday.
If you talk about Tom Smith, he sent me a case of wine to say thank you for coming. And he had a little handwritten note. That little note is everything. But I didn't take my fucking eyes off of him, and I thought, yes, I got you, sunshine.
They have such a high standard that if they're not 50 points up after 40 minutes, you're like, God, you're dreadful.
I remember speaking to Shawsy during that game, looking at each other, he goes, it's quick, isn't it? And only a mother can say this when you know you had an absolute shitter and all it read was, we still love you. Surprise, surprise, Lawrence Dallaglio walking again. Shaun stood there with a little tin with some coins in it, asking the boys some money for Lawrence sponsored walk.
Welcome, Phil. Normally, one of us organises something to eat, and this week it's Scott's. So, Scott, what have you brought us?
Bada Breath. You know, a bada breath. It's a fruit loaf, and I cooked it. I cooked it. Took it down the shop. They wrapped it up, and then I brought it. And then I brought it in. Come on. And then I brought it in.
Let's get stuck into it.
Do you like a bit of bada breath?
I like anything cake.
I was going to say.
I will try some, but I don't really like fruitcake or...
I'm
If you don't
with you.
like it, don't
But if you,
try
if you,
it.
I was saying, if you don't
Well-
like fruitcake, don't eat it.
Well, no, I might like it if I try it.
Oh, that's very nice. That is very nice.
Yeah. You can
Oh, yeah, it's delicious.
you can put a bit of butter on top of it, and then if you really go for it, you could put a little bit of mature cheddar.
Oh, now we're talking.
But I didn't have the budget for that, so
Now, Vix, you're not a stranger to food. You actually won Celebrity Masterchef.
Serial winner, Lawrence.
I know.
well, you just did
I know.
breakfast.
2011, was it 2011?
Yeah.
And you grew up on a farm, so your family were involved in farming. So I'm assuming that's where your passion for food comes from.
Yeah, but I was lucky because we grew up as kids and we all had gardens in the farm. So it was just getting food, getting stuck in garden, Nan and Grandad. I remember being in farmhouse kitchen, and that's what made me think about thinking about the fruit cakes. My Nan would have like these big aluminium pots of saffron bun mix, split mix, or splits like a bread. It's very much a Cornish thing. So you butter and then you had pies and every conceivable kind of quiche, tart, pasty, pie,
Yes.
and then she'd have like half a dozen chest freezers in the back
Starving.
shed.
Sounds like
and
heaven.
you'd fill all these freezers up. So that was what food and cooking was for me, and I really enjoy it.
Destined for the front row then.
Well, the thing is, when I did MasterChef, I didn't go on to win it. It was just don't get knocked out first, because it's not too embarrassing then. Right. And then when you get on there and you get into it, and I stuck very, very true to what I know. It's amazing as the show goes on, because I'd only just retired. I love the bits in the professional kitchen, that camaraderie thing. When you're all there and you're prepped, ready to go, and the bloke next to you's got guinea fowl and he's got to go on 11 minutes. I was on fish, someone else on whatever, and the check goes and it's free whatever. And once he goes, you've got to be watching what he's doing. And then suddenly, already, it's making me tingle, because it's like being in the blooming change room again. But the best bit of all, and you were like this, all the maitre d's, front of house, Michelin star chefs, all that stuff's amazing. There's a bloke stood in the corner called Pot Wash. None of it worked. None of it works without Pot Wash. And I loved that bit of it, that whole team bit.
Matt Dawson had been on it previously and won before, hadn't he? And did you speak to anyone?
No, didn't speak to anybody. But I think this is a big bugbear of mine now. The fear of failure. Everyone doesn't do something because they're feared of failing. We came from an environment where you are accountable for everything that you did, because you couldn't hide. It's on the TV, your stats, your monitors, you cannot get away from it, and it's not very nice, and you just have to front it up and hold your hand up, or if you didn't do something right. As I remember.
Oh, he's gone.
Oh, you got me thinking about this.
Yeah, the right go at me, Shaun.
When I arrived at Wasps from Gloucester, because I thought Gloucester was going to be my forever club, and started there, going to finish there, and whatever, it didn't happen. I remember walking into an analysis session with Shaun Edwards, who's absolutely wired up the wrong way anyway, as we all know. And I can't remember who the game was against, but Lowell didn't have his best game, which is unusual, because, he's fairly steady. And there was a lot of walking around at ruck time, walking.
I was inspecting rucks. I had a clipboard out.
Point in.
And Shaun said, I don't want to swear because I won't make it, but he said, surprise, surprise, Lawrence Dallaglio, walking again. Of course, everyone's in the room, all the academy guys, everyone's like that. And you can see him going redder and redder and redder. But the best bit of all was at the end of the session, and it all finished, and everyone was coming out, and Shaun stood there with a little tin with some coins in it, asking the boys some money for Lawrence sponsored walk.
That's amazing.
And you can see him absolutely firing up.
He did. He did. I mean, to be fair, it was me one week, right? Yeah. The following week it was Matt Dawson. Box kick, surprise, fucking surprise. Another box kick in the stands. He said, "Is your dad in the fucking stands or what?"
He used to do little notes for players after games on the board. It'd be like working on your blitz defence, and there'd always be someone. There'd always be a funny note in there somewhere. And Ian Evans, who wasn't probably the most disciplined player, it would just be fucking discipline on a note. That was it.
Well, I think that was going on about him. That was his beauty of his simplicity. I also remember arriving because he was a hero of mine. I used to grow up watching rugby league, and Wigan was my team. And I thought, I just wanted to meet the guy. And I remember rocking up, and I thought, oh God, he's coming over. He's walking straight over. And he just walked straight over to me. He looked me straight in the eyes, and he just went, "Get you back to best in the world." Turned around and walked off.
He genuinely, Shaun, right? So he stood 2 yards further where you were, right? And he passed me the ball as far as, as if he was passing it 30 yards. It hit my chest, bounced off. I said, "Shaun," he looked at me in the eye, he went, "It's my job to pass it. It's your job to catch it." Yeah. And I went, yeah, good argument, good argument. Yeah, fair play.
Stick to Rugby is brought to you by Defender. Obviously, the front row, you guys are a special bunch.
Unique.
Unique, yeah. So we have a game to celebrate props and hookers that you've played with or against.
Yeah.
We're going to give you an activity, and you have to tell us which front rower you would select to partner up with in each scenario.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
So, run a farm with.
Julian White.
Oh, wow.
Cook a roast.
Would probably have to be, because he likes his food, he certainly likes eating it, and that's Trevor Woodman.
The best golf partner.
Oh, no one in the front row. He plays a lot of golf, but I don't know if he's any good at it, is Lee Mears.
Yeah, so
Yeah, Mearsy.
Yeah,
I was thinking
Mearsy.
Survive on a desert island.
Oz Durant, he's massive.
Okay.
They can be hookers as well. They can be hookers.
Pub quiz.
That's going to be a shit score, isn't it?
Gethin Jenkins.
Melon.
Dancing competition.
Rafi Ibanez.
Coach a rugby team.
Tim Payne. Would be a great drinking crew.
Opening the batting within a cricket match.
Christian Califano.
Ooh.
Escape from a maze.
Oh, goodness me.
I know.
Goodness gracious me.
Forget more.
That's how was a fun with the front rower.
Great Graham Roundtree.
Mountain climb.
Adam Jones.
Good one. And finally, a tandem bungee jump.
I would love to have a bungee jump with Phil Greening.
Nice. Good job.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the quiz?
Nice. It's quite challenging, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Now, this is a bit random, but before Shanks asks these questions, I know this, but you are officially a cattle inseminator, qualified cattle inseminator, aren't you?
Well, I could have been a professional, though, yeah.
So you're amateur, are you, at the moment?
Yeah, okay. I'm multifaceted.
So can you just put a little bit of a bit of context around that then? So presumably from hours and hours of practice on the farm, you've been given the responsibility of inseminating.
Or watching it first.
Well, I grew up with a
miserable
miserable dad who made life miserable for me in the sense of with rugby. Couldn't understand why you want to play rugby because you should be working on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So my ambition when I left school when I was 15 was I wanted the best dairy herd of cows in North Cornwall. So it's ambitious.
Yeah.
And I used to say to Dad about breeding the herd, and he was always, no. I want better breeds so I can breed the cows, better herd. I want to get in the National Milk Records book. No. So I thought, right, I'll bloody do it myself. So I went and done my own insemination course. So to learn and to be able to breed and cows and get my own semen and diddler and do it like that. So that's
with his blessing or on the QT?
With his blessing, with a grudge,
right?
If that makes sense.
Did you achieve this?
No, I didn't, because then I moved away from home when I was 19 up to Gloucester, who wanted me to come up. Well, actually, Bath wanted me to go to Bath first, but I didn't fancy Bath because.
A bit posh up there.
Yeah.
A bit posh.
Yeah, and I didn't want to leave home really, and I didn't know rugby. I didn't want rugby as a career. It wasn't really a career, and actually. Being a farmer helped me in professional rugby. People say, why do you say that? Farming is about doing really tough stuff day after day. What's the weather? Doesn't matter. What doesn't matter? Get up, Christmas Day, Boxing Day.
Same things every day. Routine.
Repeat. For me, it's the connection with nature. I think when you're farming and you're a husband, and there's a connection you have with animal and wanting and rearing and just seeing, and there's an ultimate goal to it, but I can still tell you the number of, talking about my first cow that always came in on the left-hand side, 141, always, every single milking, it was always her. I'm talking about 33 or 4 years ago. I can still name, a lot of people don't get that with farmers, they just think it's just a job, and it is a job, but it's more than that. There's something, I don't know what the right word.
Farming's tough. Rugby's pretty tough as well.
Yeah.
You've had an amazing career. World Cups, Lions tours, Premierships. How would you summarise post-retirement? Because you retired in 2010 or 11.
Yeah.
So how would you summarise your life post-retirement?
Oh my God, we'd be here all bloody day. I think when you retire, it's brilliant and it's fantastic, but you kind of really, I don't even think sat here now, I don't think I've ever really dealt with retiring from rugby. You accept it and it's part of the job, but you just, I think for me, it's a case of you just kick the can and move into something else and do Masterchef, do something else, ambassador role, or they love you and then they get fed up with you and then basically you run out of rope. And then you land, wherever that's 5, 10, 50, whatever it is, you land and actually go, shit, I know it's quite a deep thing, I don't want to be sad about it, but it's hard, but you'll never ever replace it. You can never ever recreate those memories of that changing room. It's not I don't remember a huge amount of rugby stuff, but I remember like moments which we spent together that it's got nothing to do with rugby. It was that moment of changing room or the atmosphere. Like I remember heaps of things I don't remember. I remember my first Lions test at, in Brisbane.
Incredible.
Oh God, yeah. What was said, don't know. What happened in the game, don't know. Who did what, can't remember. I remember my sister was there because she was backpacking with her friends, and she, not just by chance, and the atmosphere, and just those are the bits. And like even now talking about it, but I suppose it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because I spend, I'm not saying rightly or wrongly, a lot of time packing those things away because you don't want to unload them because it brings back all the things which you can never have again. Yeah. But it's not to be down about it. It's just, bugger.
Well, I remember when life in rugby is about shared moments and remember my mum and dad coming over to Australia, could never have ever imagined them even affording to get to Australia. They ended up coming over. Your dad, after the World Cup final, remember, went for a beer around the corner. I think it was a couple of days after it because we'd had a few already. But it was just you, your dad, I think Trev, I think Ian Bolshaw, there was a few of us. We just went around the corner, didn't we, to the local pub, just had a bit of a sit down and to share that moment with someone that means something to you.
The irony of my dad coming out, so bear in mind Dad only ever watched me 5 or 6 times my whole rugby career, because he was just, not because he's miserable bugger I suppose, but he liked being at home, Sky Sports or whoever it was, replay, sat, chair, can, nibbles, easy.
Routine though,
yeah.
It goes back to the farming routine.
He rang me on that final week and I was on whatever it was, he said, hello, I said hello, and I remember him saying, it's line's clear, isn't it? I said, yeah. He said,
telephone's that amazing.
Yeah. He said, can you get a couple of tickets for the weekend? And I thought, well, I think we got 3 tickets. Yeah. One Kate had got, and I said, yeah, I got a couple of tickets. I thought a couple of mates had been on to him, need tickets, and that's fine. He said, I'm thinking about coming out. I was like, that. Fucking hell, Dad, it's not Bonstable. You know what I mean? Yeah. And because at the time you couldn't get flights, couldn't get, you just couldn't get anything. And he bloody came. He came out with a good friend of his, Titus Brimacombe. And he flew out via Hawaii, Dubai, Kazakhstan, whatever it was. And he got there.
To say John Deere.
Yeah, I know. But he came out, and my dad, of all the people, my dad came out.
Special moment though, special.
Yeah. Talking about the 2003 World Cup winning squad, it's been well documented with a lot of them have gone through struggles.
Yeah.
How, and it's only sort of come to light recently.
Yeah.
You'd probably say how difficult has it been, or has it been a help that a lot of others have come out and shared their experiences and shared their problems?
I think the problem is with all this, like we all sit here knowing that there's problems in our game. If you're really brutally honest about it, forget all the bravado. whenever we see each other, it's the, oh, yeah, amazing, I was busy, oh, brilliant, family, yeah, mate, brilliant, couldn't have been busy, bloody hell, brilliant, fantastic, but we all know that it's not quite like that in the real world. And I suppose it's uncovered some issues and us getting back together, but also remembering that a lot are absolutely fine, doing brilliant stuff and all there, but it's, I suppose my little gripe with our game is, maybe it's a bit of a life one for me as well. If somebody is tragically ill or something's gone dreadfully wrong, we're all there like flies around a cow's ass. What can we do? Well, you know, bloody hell, right, you know, but it's car crash has happened. I just want us, the whole game to be a little bit more proactive in trying to prevent a car crash.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
And some of that for some people is all very different. Like even just for me, knowing that we've got a group when you're together a bit more, like, you know, I speak to Steve Thompson more than I should. And I have to be careful because it upsets me when I speak to him, because there's a bloke who you went to bloody war with.
Yeah.
And to see what's happening to him, let's forget about all that stuff, but it's just touching base more, knowing that someone's there, and if a call goes out, or this wally brain, you know, you feel like you've got someone, and I've enjoyed that bit of it.
That's not something that would have happened maybe 10, 15 years ago.
No, and sometimes you're trying to, I think sometimes we're trying to find answers to things. There aren't necessarily answers. It's not necessarily knowing exactly where you're going, but all I know is we all need each other. I still get people stop me today, whether I like it or not. 22nd of November 2003 was the greatest day of my life.
Yeah.
Thank you. And it's such that's a privilege. So we've got to make sure that we keep looking after each other, but also trying to make sure we seem to be doing and wanting to do the right things.
We were taught totally different though, when we were all growing up. You know, we were taught if you're in the defensive line, you get up and you defend. Yeah. If you haven't broken your leg, or you're not in the stand, then you defend. You take the next ball up. You know, you don't show weakness. You don't show weakness to anybody. You know, I remember getting hit so hard by Paolo Perellini. You know what I mean? That I could hardly walk, but I made sure I was away from the camera before I fell over, because you know, because I didn't want anybody to see it. Anybody say, this is what we did to him. That you got up and you okay, well, you know, and then and then to come to where we are now with the looking at the doctors and looking at the responsibility we're putting on others is hard as well. You know what I mean?
I think what we always have to remember though, and certainly I'm always aware of it, our game is much safer today than it was when we played it, thank goodness. I think the game has been pretty proactive in that sense, and the things which we did would not happen today, and rightly so. Yeah. So we do have to remember that, but it doesn't make what we did all right. Because you dirty bugger. Well, my first cap at Twickenham, you short-armed me and knocked me on semi.
Oh, you don't say.
He's got your name right there, Phil, on his forearm.
Yeah, knocked me straight out. I remember thinking, my God.
So what year was that?
That was 98. But the irony of it was, it made me really cross, because you're someone I watched, because I was lucky because I started young. I played with heroes, so I used to watch you and think, I'm playing against Scott Quinnell. It was the first 10 minutes.
That was your debut, wasn't it?
Yeah, straight in the head. I was like, oh my God, I can't see anything. Left eye was going round everywhere. I'm thinking, oh my God, what do I do?
Accidentally, of course.
So I ended up...
Accidentally, of course.
Kick chop, was you going to kick it?
But I got cross.
I feel oh my God, have another slice of cake.
But I punched someone, and I thought, well, I'm going to punch somebody now.
So you punched somebody?
Yeah.
You didn't punch him?
No, but the closest person I got to... Closest person I got to, at the time, I thought, right,
who's the smallest guy on the pitch?
Was Colin Jarvis. I didn't realise he's the only person who wasn't bloody Welsh in the Welsh team.
I apologise.
No,
I apologise.
I'd let it go.
He clubbed you one, and you got cited that day as well, didn't you, for that punch?
Yeah, I did.
Did you?
Yeah.
And you got banned for a game.
I got banned, yeah.
Phil, talk us through, because that day, a proud day for you, probably the proudest of your life at that moment, England debut. You get whacked by Scott. All right, you get cited. You also had an initiation.
It's like a bingo card.
I don't remember much about my first cap, but I think Jason ended up leading you a little bit astray, Jason Leonard. Talk us through your...
We were at the dinner at Park Lane, and I remember you came over then, and I didn't realise, you said, come over with your glass, and red wine, want to share? Well done today. I thought, come over here. Well done today, first cap, we're going to share a glass of wine. And I thought, oh, he's a nice bloke after all. Yeah. So I had my glass of wine, and Gook straight
Nice
down.
Merlot.
Lovely. Yeah, it was lovely. And then I thought, well, this is fantastic. And then they all started coming over to share a glass of wine. And within probably 45 minutes to an hour max, I'd gone from being absolutely fine to a bit of a mess. And I remember looking at him on the top table with all the alakadoos. I think I'd got my tie like a bandana around my head.
Nice.
I was going, Bruno, Bruno. And you can see him going, I think we need to get him out of here.
Exactly. Blow dart, please, blow dart.
Who was the team manager? Waspy.
Roger Utley.
Roger Utley. Roger had his nose broke out a million times.
Lou
He was like,
Marge.
Yeah, sorry.
so he come over and said,
Mr. Vickery, Phil, I think it's time we got you out of here.
You must have thought you were at the train station.
he came over, and Leonard came over. Jason came over as well because he was like my dad and hero all at the same time. And they walked me out into the reception at Park Lane, and it was beautiful, you know, all the stuff. And I just remember vomiting.
I didn't know about this bit.
The worst bit was it hit this glass wall.
Came back.
Came back on the floor over everybody.
Red vomit as well.
It was dreadful. And then I remember getting to my room. And the lovely thing about the hotel, I'd never been in such a posh hotel as that, was the marble floor in the thing, but it was heated.
Oh, yeah.
So I literally slept. I slept on the floor in the bathroom. At the same time, phone call from Clive, like at silly o'clock in the morning, to say that I'd been cited for a alleged punch against Colin Jarvis. So then I had to go to the citing meeting, got banned. The rest is history.
So let me get this right. You blame me for getting cited because I tackled you a little bit high first,
you short on
and
me.
then you're blaming me for getting rat ass because I gave you the first glass of wine.
Yeah.
And a little tip for you: when you stay in the Park Lane, always take a pillow to the toilet because it's always take a pillow. I used to because it was nice and heated.
Do you know what? I don't know how many years later it was. It was late thousands, maybe 8, 9, something like that. We were playing South Africa, or the Autumn Series. We played South Africa, and I want to say his name was Chiliboy whatever.
Yeah, Ralepelle.
Yeah,
Hooker.
made his debut for South Africa.
Yeah.
And was sat, because there wasn't a big dinner then, it was just a bit up in the spirit of rugby, and you just have
Sensible.
you know, a bit captain say a few bits, but that's it. I remember being sat there going, my God, this lad's just debuted for South Africa. No one's doing anything. So I walked over. Walked over with my little glass of wine.
What did you?
And
Learned this from Scott Quinnell.
just said
Put
to
him in a
him,
pile.
but I just felt dreadful inside because you're never going to get this moment back again. So I went over to him, had a little glass. I said, "Buddy, well done today. You know, debut for South Africa. I just want to share a glass." It wasn't like your bloody half-pint job. It was a couple of sips of wine.
Not a hatchet job, yeah.
But the best bit of all was I'd done it all on my own, and everyone was looking at me, and it's like the Saffers, you know, they're a tough old bunch, aren't they? And I walked back then to my table, and then out of the corner of my eye, I saw some South Africans then getting up and going over to me.
Oh, nice.
And I thought, bloody brilliant.
And you trained for so many years to be a prop and to be able to push in a scrum. Now, it's a different type of training that you're into. You're into bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Is bodybuilding, is that a hobby? Is it an outlet? Is it a purpose? Or is it something, is it a tool to help with maybe mental health?
When I finished, I really struggled to find a purpose, because I trained for a reason. And then when you finish, although you should train for yourself, it still doesn't feel the same. You knew to do that, you had to do that. So I was doing my training, I'd done a bit of a body transformation for the sort of 20-year reunion, because I thought I don't want to go along and be Humpty Dumpty. And, you know, I thought I don't want to do that.
Nothing wrong with Humpty Dumpty, by the way.
But then I realised actually with shrinking down so much, I was actually more sore, like my neck, like I've had you've got the whole system in there, a couple of operations there, my free lower back, and everything was just, I thought, oh God. So when I started weight training, and then I did a little bit of a transformation, and my trainer, Lee Powell, amazing guy, he's done loads of stuff, been to Olympia, but the kindest, most sensible human being you ever wish to meet. He said, you should do a bodybuilding show. And I said, no way, Lee, I said, stupid, because I'm too tall, wrong levers, too big a rib cage, big hips, nothing works when it comes to bodybuilding for my genetics, I'm just rubbish. And he said something along the lines of, well, if you haven't got the courage to do it, I was like, yeah, fuck you, mister.
Yeah.
So I went through with it. I'd done my plan, went all the way through, got on stage, and I didn't know what to expect. I don't look like a bodybuilder, because I'm not. But it was I enjoyed the process. And this is probably something we can all relate to in here. It's not the bit on stage, all the fake tan, the boil, the pictures stuff. It was the pain and the suffering which goes into it. And actually, it's not. Obviously, you've got to train hard, but 80% of it is actually diet. And can you do it? You're basically not trying to kill yourself, but you're forcing yourself. Your body will hold on to what's most precious to it, which is fat, because that's survival. If you get lost on a desert island, muscle's not keeping you alive. It's fat, so it will hold on to it. So the challenge is forcing it and making it trust you. And it's not just as simple as saying, cut down, because then you lose all your muscle.
Yeah.
So it's just a constant battle. But when I weighed in for show day, I was 100, just over 100 kgs, 100.5.
100?
Well, when I was...
You were born bigger than 100 kg.
At that same time as you were doing the bodybuilding, there was a few personal, you got some financial problems, you've got some personal relationship problems. Do you think, on reflection, that you doing the bodybuilding was a really good distraction for you to take you away from... I mean, those issues weren't going away, by the way, but it provided you with a little bit of a smile on your face outlet, or no, not really?
Oh my God, mate, we could talk about this for hours. I think ultimately, when you hit rock bottom, and whether that's money's relationship, whatever, when you hit the bottom, and you look around and you sort of analyse what's important and what's around, and the things you think about, and all those thoughts are running through your head from extremes to, and it was kind of like, it was certainly a focus. It's a discipline. I think when I look at somebody, I straight away, just by looking at them, I respect them by the way they look. You can't, for me, you can't get respect from people unless you respect yourself. Forget all the other stuff. So there was an element of that, and then it was a case of I needed a process and I need stability. I need something which no one else can take away from me. Don't matter what you say, what you do, I can do that. And no one can get in the way of it. I am in complete control of what I do. And I think 100% element of that. And I enjoy training. I enjoy having a different circle. Like I go to the gym, or particularly when I go for walks. But the walks are slightly different. It's nature. It's letting your brain go. It's breathing it all in. But you're in an environment which no one can take away from you. And I particularly enjoy that. I can't lift heavy weights. It's not about trying to become Superman. It's not trying to become Mr. Olympia. It's just about being the best version and being proactive, whether you're talking about your body, whether you're talking about your brain. I fucking detest with a passion people who sit there like a fucking frog frying in a pan on a fucking oven. They're sat there going, oh, it's fucking hot here, isn't it? Move. Do something about it. If you're sitting waiting for a magic pill or someone to do something for you, the realisation, the sooner you realise you've got to fucking get off your ass and do something yourself. When I signed up to do the show, I thought, I'm going to go all in here, I'm going to do it properly and I'm going to go along. So I went along to a posing class, and it was in Cardiff somewhere. And I had never done anything, so I rock up...
Davin Ensigner?
Sorry, a posing class?
Yeah, so when you do your...
They teach you how to...
just to give you...
Get the old back going up.
So I've gone in with no experience, no nothing, and I arrive at there, I'm thinking, right, I'm going to do this. I've said I'm going to do it, I'm going to commit to it. So I get there, I'm thinking, right, I'm in here, got my pants on, underneath, trackers, walk in this studio, full of people, didn't know there was, literally it was 12 girls, 12 blokes. I'm thinking, fucking hell.
Pudgy smugglers? Do you have
but of course I'm the only pork pie in there. All the rest of them are like bloody Tom Cruise / Baywatch jobs, They're not even bodybuilders, they're all the physique guys. And if you know, the physique guys are like V-shaped beauties. Then you got Rumpty Tumpty here. So I'm totally embarrassed. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm bloody doing it. And there's particularly one Welsh boy there. God, he had an amazing physique on him. And he was physique. So, you know, all upper body, Humpty Dumpty, so all upper body, no legs.
Yeah. Don't see legs in a nightclub. Though.
Yeah, no. And I tried to make friends. I tried to make friends with them a bit, you know, just to sort of say hello in bits and pieces, and it was hard work. And anyway, to cut the story short, I went to watch a show as well, just to see what goes on. And then when my show came, so we're talking 4 months later, the big boy,
Max Lewis?
Yeah, he was at the show doing his physique bit, and obviously I was there doing my bit, and this is the bit I loved of all the experiences of it. Although he didn't want to say hello to me, went back at that posing thing, he just come over to me, looked me in the eye, put his hand out, and he just went, "Fair fucking play," and walked off. I loved that bit of it.
Yeah,
I love the camaraderie, and actually backstage,
At your comfort zone.
yeah. Because everyone's grafted.
Let's talk Women's Six Nations. I don't know if you caught it, but Katy, another, wins for England, wins for France, wins for Italy, maybe surprisingly.
Wins,
Let's talk England to start with. Didn't have it all their own way in the first half particularly, but obviously have got the ability to bring on a whole new front row. You know, the names like Marley Packer, who was here as our guest a few weeks ago, with Emily Scarrett, they seem to be not even names that we're mentioning anymore. This is definitely a team that John Mitchell is transitioning with absolute aim of winning this Rugby World Cup. How would you assess them after 3 matches?
Yeah, I think that there's definitely a combination he's looking at, like you say, no Marley Packer, no Emily Scarrett again this weekend. I would have thought they'll feature against Scotland in the coming weekend and potentially against France, but we'll see. I think what was really interesting from this England performance, previously when England have gone close, or the scoreline have been close at half-time, we've assumed it was because England have been poor. Actually, I think Ireland were very, very decent in that opening 40. They were never going to live with England for 80 minutes. You've got Sarah Byrne coming off the bench, you've got Helena Rowlands. The squad that England have is just so further forward than the other nations. But I think if you're John Mitchell, I would be slightly concerned that Ireland can do what they did, because there's a bit of like tactical nous. They stopped England playing, they shut them down.
Do they have to improve the way that they come out the blocks in the first half? Because every single game,
Slow against Wales.
They were slow against Wales. I don't think they were great in their first game.
Don't you think it's a certain tag as well? At the end of the day, the women have been setting standards for a long period of time, and that is.
Yeah, and I think
hard.
But also
critical of them because
these are both really valid points, aren't they? They're like this,
Yeah.
They have such a high standard that if they're not 50 points up after 40 minutes, you're like, God, you're dreadful. So if they're in a test match, we almost are slamming them for being in a test match. I think there's a bit of a standards thing. I would say for me, against better teams like Canada's, France's, potentially New Zealand's, who can live with you for 80, you probably need to be solving those questions quicker, because it was watching it was really obvious what Ireland had come out to do, and it felt like England kept doing the same thing. They've obviously gone in at half time, Ireland died off a little bit, got a yellow card.
But they're doing very much what Rasmus does with South Africa. The amount of changes the South Africa make, and the fact that they could pick 2 sides now, South Africa, and be competitive. And World Cup time comes along, the couple of injuries, bang, somebody just steps in. And England, they're doing exactly the same. They grow in that strength and depth. They know they're good enough to win the games. And what they're saying is, right, we'll make 13 changes. We'll make changes, we'll bring the squad in. So when it comes to the next World Cup, they're so prepared. And I think that's what they're doing well.
And I take the view that sometimes games of rugby, especially test matches, the first half is about softening up the, you know, I mean, the scoreline should be quite close at half-time, really.
England, as a team, never get tested. They get tested every 4 years in the World Cup final, and that's it. But how quickly can you solve tactical problems? If, like, you've got a lot of girls that are playing for Gloucester, Sarries and Bristol, who've battered everybody all year apart from each other, so you get basically 4 exposures over a 12-month period where you might get a bit of, ooh, this is different. I think for me, they need more of this, because where your halfbacks come alive, you need to work out that somebody needs to get a bit more depth, or you need to go and get into that shooter so you can go around the corner. It wasn't, I don't think what Ireland did was rocket science for me, but I thought England were a bit slow mentally just to be like, right.
Well, I think the one team that maybe will test them at the end of the competition is the French.
The thing that kills France, and maybe it's similar to the men, is they're just a bit loose with possession. They've got they've got an amazing pack. The dominance they get in their collision, but they're just so loose with their position.
But I think it's the best thing that can happen for the girls to come up against France, because I think they will raise their game for it as well.
Yeah, it'll be it's always a big test.
We all sit here and talk about, hindsight, because we've all got degrees in it, and when you're watching it on the TV, it's easy to solve the problems ultimately if you be non-emotional about it, when you're in the game, things happen, and it does take a little bit longer in time. And as long as you're learning from all these experiences, not beating yourself up about it, because I think watching women's rugby is, I actually prefer it, because it seems more genuine and authentic to me. And like you said all about Sarah Byrne earlier on, do you think the thought of potentially of her not starting in an England shirt a few years ago would be I'd be having kittens about it.
Yeah, but I think
but
it's brilliant.
She
for her,
comes
though.
on, it's like, she is
Because against
just
a tired
incredible.
defence, like you say, she is so unique in what she does. So why would you use her against a fresh team when you can be like, oh, bring you off the bench after 55 minutes and you can run?
I think she inspired me for women's rugby. When she came on the scene, I thought, my God, this is serious.
I tell you one thing, I can't go. I thought the Welsh women, they bounced back. They really
better,
did.
Weren't they?
They were a lot
Defended
better.
really well.
Oh, defended well. The driving line was good. They kept the ball. They played in right areas. Their heads didn't go down. And when the French ladies, they brought some of the pack on in the second half, they were just massive.
for
The power.
Yeah, I mean, the try itself, well worked, wasn't it? You're starting to see a bit of Sean Lynn in them as well, jumping short sides.
That's a key one, because Linny's such a good man. He'll do a brilliant job.
I can say as well, the atmosphere was incredible in that French. The French pub there was right. So 3,500 people watching the Ospreys play in a quarter final, right, in the Swansea.com. You go then you watch that one earlier in the day, and it was just chalk and cheese. It was just incredible atmosphere to play in as well.
Yeah, love it.
What are your memories?
Of playing with Phil?
Yeah, playing with Phil. I mean, hanging out with Phil.
Be careful now.
He talked about his England debut in 2000, but Phil was apart from being an England player and a great friend, when he was at Gloucester, he was obviously an enemy to us. Anyway, he was the driving force of Gloucester for many years. How many years were you there, the Cherry and Whites?
11.
11 years, and then you came up to. You saw sense and came up.
Saw the light.
Saw the bright lights of paved, the bright streets of London paved with gold. How many years did you play at Wasps?
4.
So 11 and 4. I mean, that's an incredible career in itself. But I remember Kingsholm was always was a special place to go and play rugby, right? Great atmosphere, great fans, great team, and Phil was captain of Gloucester for probably quite a long period of that 11 years.
Quite a bit, yeah.
And I was captain of Wasps for a similar amount of time, and when we used to go, I used to love going to Kingsholm, and it was one of those grounds where we were okay there. We had some kick-ins there as well, but more often than not, we would always have a decent game and a good result there. But I never used to go and see Phil. We used to go for the coin toss, didn't we? And it's cool. At what moment do you flick the switch as a player where you go into that headset where where game head on, right? And Phil used to go quite early because he's there
Wednesday.
He's there all I remember is he's there in the full kit, and it's easy when you're a bit older and you're a little bit more experienced. You take it in your stride. I remember going into the referee's room. It might have been Tony Spreadbury or Chris White or someone. And Phil's there. He's got the Vaseline on already. I can smell the deep heat all over him. He's in the full kit. He's got the boots on, and he's ready to go. And bear in mind, we've still got an hour till kick-off, right? And I've gone in there, still in my Wasps t-shirt, still in my trainers.
Flip-flops.
Haven't quite got changed yet. And Phil would never make eye contact with me in that. I do remember that he'd never make eye contact with me, probably because
The thing is, though, what you have to remember, and I mean this in the nicest possible way.
Can't stand you.
I hated you with a passion, but not you.
Yeah.
I hated because you were best in practice. What you did, and it just would drive me insane.
I said to the referee, I said to the referee before the coin toss, I said, look, you got a problem here today, and it's not me. Have you seen how wound up he is? I said...
See, that annoys me that he's saying that.
I said, you look like... I think you should calm him down now, don't you? Or shall I try and calm him down?
So here's the thing for you to go completely off...
He can't even catch the coin. So he's let the coin hit the floor.
Shake him.
So you talk about experience and learning. So totally off piece now, just made me think about it, because it's funny you say about looking in the eye, because my granddad always told me, look people in the eye, like shake, you always stand there, win, lose, or draw, whatever it is, you stand there and you take it. So I've always been quite proud like that.
Yeah.
Well, in 2007 Rugby World Cup, we got to the semi-finals and we're playing France again.
That's right.
You know, France in France. And I always remember Fabien Gaultier saying to me after 03, you stole my Rugby World Cup. You fucking steal your Rugby World Cup. Anyway, the French, because I grew up watching, you know, TSW, Television Southwest, they block your ports up, stop the beef going in, you know, going at our bloody trawlers down in Cornwall, getting on the boat, so I'm like that.
On, look, there you go.
So right,
RTL now.
TSW. Television Southwest.
So now we semi-finals against France, and then someone who was my hero and someone who I played with then at Wasps, a guy, Raf Ibanez, was the French captain, and I love Raf. He's such the best hooker I played with by a country mile. Such a good human being. So I'm pumped up, I'm ready. And talk about being ready, I fucking walk at that changing room, you walk down the tunnel, and I remember seeing him down the bottom, I can't remember who the referee was, it did not matter. I didn't take my fucking eyes off of him from 25 yards away. Walked there, stood there, referee was talking. Didn't take my eyes off him, didn't take my eyes off him, didn't take my eyes off of him. He did not look at me. Done the coin toss, did not look at me. And I thought, yes. I got you, sunshine. I've bloody got you. So then I got back in the changing room and I said to Andrew Sheridan, because Shez was everything that I wanted to be, big, strong, powerful, you know, but, you know, train like Tarzan, play like Jane a little bit, you know, you take your mum sometimes, you'd do a better job. When we're getting back in the changing room, speaking to Shez, going, Shez, you never guess what Raf just told me about you. He said such and such. Shez her head butted me. And I won't tell you what I told him exactly. Split me open. Blood running down my shirt, Big Bird, Kempy Doctor, Vaseline on there. I walked down the tunnel, we went out and we done them. I knew when Raf wouldn't look at me. I knew it.
There was a guy called John Thomas, and he back row of Wales in the Ospreys. And he's playing in St Helens in Swansea. This is before the game, and he's walking around the changing room, like just looking for eyes. You know, he's psyched up for it. He's pumped up for it. And you know, sometimes you do little tuck jumps or little jumps in the air. He's been walking around. He's jumped up, and he's jumped up under a door frame. He split his head, and he had to come on at half time because they had to stitch him up. He put his head on.
That's my memories of stuff like that. But it's interesting that you say that.
You were always the guy that had to carry the weight of responsibility of Gloucester Rugby Club. As soon as you came to Wasps and you had myself, you had Raf, you had all these guys around you, suddenly you were able to, I saw a change in you because you were able to look after yourself.
Yeah, but I'll tell you the biggest difference. Obviously I was lucky to caught the end of the cycle of the amazing team that you had. I remember going to meeting there, because I think I had my third back operation at the time, and it wasn't very good at all, and I didn't know if I was going to play again, hence the reason why Gloucester got rid of me, which is fair enough. Went to Wasps, and for the first time, and they said, oh, you got to go for a bloody medical with the, and I thought, fucking hell, I can only stand up straight here. Got to go for a medical. And I remember Roger Nibs,
yeah, the physio.
Was a physio. I remember thinking, I've got nothing to hide. I'm not pretending. It is what it is. And he looked at me and went through some exercise and done whatever. And I'm thinking, I'm just be totally honest, which I was. He said, you're not as bad as I thought. I thought, I haven't been told that before. I remember speaking to Stridge, and he goes, oh, don't worry about it. He said, we'll get round that. I said, down and ups, I'm always going to struggle, because we used to do millions of down and ups, didn't we, with the runways. Don't worry about that. Just stay away from that.
Just go down.
We'll take him out for you.
Yeah. But it was. We'll take it out for you. Oh, conditioning. I've never actually at Wasps never trained so little. It was intense. Didn't train half as hard, but I'd never been so fit.
Yeah.
Everything was geared around what it was you were doing. And it was just a totally different mindset.
I look at the warm-ups now, and I think if I just the warm-up alone, that'd be me done. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think as you get towards the end of your career, particularly, you don't train any less or any or less intense. You've just got to be smarter with what you do. Like I stopped picking up heavy stuff off the floor. Because you'd walk in like the leaning tower of Pisa the next day.
But I'll tell you something which frustrates me, which is never talked about enough at Wasps, I don't think, or about Wasps. Of course, all the superstars, yourself and Joe and Shawsey, even Tim Payne, but yeah, Raf Ibanez, Alex King, Josh Lucy, brilliant. The success of Wasps actually was the ones underneath that. John Hart, Richard Burkitt, Tim Payne, Rob Hoadley, all the blokes that used to be week in, week out, 100% do a job, but knew when the cavalry came, it was cavalry time, but trained hard, never gave up, and that was just the success for me of the team was those guys. Yes, the big boys, but no one talks about that, and I often think about that.
Stick to Rugby is brought to you by Defender.
Phil, Lions, British and Irish Lions,
Yeah.
you toured with the great man himself, Scott, in 2001. And you played in all 3 test matches. I think it was Tom Smith and Keith Wood.
It was,
Yeah.
the late.
Just in a snapshot, I mean, that first test at the Gabba, from the Jason Robinson try at the beginning, you know, you had probably a storming match, and you were playing in a great front row, the Dricko try.
Yeah.
It doesn't, life as a British and Irish Lion doesn't get any better than that, does it?
No, I mean, listen, I grew up watching the Living with the Lions, the videos, and I never dreamt of ever thinking I was ever going to do anything like that. And I think you understand it, but I don't think you really understand it until you get there. And the first test at the Gabba is probably one of my greatest rugby memories and experiences. I've never experienced anything like it, and it wasn't just the game. I don't really remember much about the game, but it was the whole bit build up to it, and that roar of Lions.
The fans are special, aren't they?
Do you remember why though? Because we got there about, you know, as you do, an hour and a half before the game, hour and a quarter before the game, and we're in the Gabba, we're downstairs, we come up the stairs, and we come out, and all of a sudden there's some fans there, you know, the diehards, there's a bit of red, and then all of a sudden you're having a walk around, you're having a little walk on the pitch and everything like that. But Steve Black, a great man, what an incredible, a psychologist as much as a fitness guy. We warmed up inside.
That's right.
Do you remember? So we warmed up inside. There was a big warm-up area. Steve Black keeps us in for the warm-up, and we warm up, and it was hot in there, wasn't it? Yeah. And we're there, and Jono walks us up those steps, and he walks us out, and he's got Bill the Lion with him. And that was the first moment we noticed 35,000 British and Irish Lions fans, and that, I remember that overwhelming feeling because there's no anthem with the Lions. It was that more, you know. So you didn't have that lining up. We had to hear that, but it was just that moment. You just felt there was something special.
I was that nervous beforehand in the changing room, just because obviously first test, and I was thinking, God, you know. I know we'd done the other games together, and it was all a bit feisty, and there was quite a bit going on. I didn't realise how much they were trying to hurt us. So, and I remember thinking, oh God, who can I speak to? Who can I speak to? So bloody Jono, you know, someone I think I'd go to, my England captain. We all know he's dull as dishwater. And he'd gone out to do the coin toss. And he comes back in, and I thought, I need to, you know, I didn't know whether to cry, laugh, be sick. So I thought, right, Jono, did we win the toss? What was the coin toss? And he said, yeah, we won the toss. I said, what are we going to do? It makes fucking no difference to a front row forward. But I thought I'd ask, just have a conversation. Well, because it's the round, isn't it, with a multi-purpose. He said, what do we do? He said, we won. He said, what? I said, what do you say? He said, we're going to bat first. I think it's probably one of the funniest things Jono's ever said to me.
Good choice.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Well, that probably calmed you down a little bit because you were a bit yampy and a bit excited.
But it was. It did. But it's funny. You remember, like, if you talk about Tom Smith, you talk about people that you played with. Actually, I was just thinking about your questions earlier on. With Keith Wood, and you know, real, just genuine. I don't know whether they're the greatest rugby players. I couldn't give a shit whether they're the greatest rugby players. Just good human beings, and God, be careful. When Tom sadly diagnosed, and we did the dinners for him, and then one dinner turned into 2 dinners, and I remember walking up to him, and he just come up to me. But I haven't hardly seen him since then, really, much. A couple of games or whatever, but he goes off. You go your different ways. And he just hugged me, and he said, I can't believe you've come. He said, thank you, can't believe you've come. And I remember thinking to myself, fucking hell, there's a bloke here who's dying. and he's thanking me for coming. You talk about prized possessions. He sent me a case of wine to say thank you for coming. And he had a little handwritten note. I could lose everything, but that little note is everything. Yeah. But going back to the original point of what we talked about earlier on, about being important and being there for one another, I'm not saying we could have done anything for Tom any earlier, but it's things like that, you know?
Yeah. Well, it was at the end.
You realise, I'll tell you what it spurred me on to do. I said, oh my God, we're going down a deepy one now. But I know I'm wired up wrong for more than one ways and another, but I just am the way I am. And I used to go training down at Flaxley Woods when I lived in Gloucester, down which is the Forest of Dean, which is very similar to Wales. Got 6 toes, you know, talk a bit funny, a bit weirdos.
What are you looking at your toes for?
He's took me sketches.
There's lots of couple through I remember going up these, remember the one track particularly, it was just a hill, and I used to do hill repeats, and I just used to think about Whitey, and used to put a picture of his face in front of me, and just used to boom, boom, over and over and over again. And I had a chat with Whitey about this. Probably 2 or 3 months ago.
Julian White, you're on about.
Yeah, but I made the point of saying to him that, and we don't do this enough because we're blokes and we're all, you know, alpha and, you know, girls are all, you know, can't show, you know, all that stuff. I said, Whitey, thank you. I said, because of the way you were and how good you were, it drove me to never stop, never give up. Now, we've never really talked about it.
Yeah.
And I made a point of saying it.
Yeah.
Just say, thank you, you were bloody brilliant. And he said, well, I was never as good as you. I know that. I know that. Oh. Thank you.
Now, Phil, we've talked. You have had some incredible success in your rugby career.
Yeah.
We've done Lions, England. You were captain of England, captain of Gloucester for 11 years. You've won premierships with Wasps. You won European Cup. You won a World Cup. You missed 05, which was a smart move. You missed the 05 Lions tour. Trust me, I got about 20 minutes of it. It was tough.
You done your ankle, didn't you?
Broke my leg. But then you got picked again in 2009. And look, you ended up playing against the Beast in the front row. And you have, with all those things you've won, like all of us, we've all had our challenges. That was, you talk about that series of games, or that first game in particular, where rugby's a team sport, but you suffered sort of individually in that game. And you talk about that as being one of the hardest things you've ever had to deal with at the time. I mean, obviously reflection. Now you go, well, big deal.
Well, it hurts because, no one goes on or goes anywhere, well, I hope not, goes anywhere to want to not do well and want to achieve. And I think that particular game, I think when you come together as a Lions, as a front row, particularly as a pack of fours, it's always very difficult because you've got certain ways and nuances and second rows and scrum. I don't want to make it sound complicated or make excuses, but I'd played against the Beast before with England, not a problem. I wasn't overly worried. I know he's an athlete, he's a big boy, but it was probably one of the hardest things. When you're going back in at half time, the referee didn't want to know anything. It was Bryce Lawrence, wasn't it? Didn't want to know anything. People could say he was illegal. It doesn't really matter. It is what it is. You get back in at half time, and Graham Roundtree said to me, the scrum coach, he said, do you want to go back on? And I was like, well, I won't tell you exactly what I said to him, but he's not the most incredibly bright or pretty bloke in the world. So I let him know that. Yeah. Went back out, and then got subbed off, and Adam Bomb comes on. Smiler, I think, as well. Bloody brilliant. Most underrated Welsh hooker of all time, I think. Matthew Rees. Absolutely bloody brilliant. Oh boy. But anyway, it's another story. And when you come in, we lost the match, and it's pretty much because of you, but it's not. And it's horrible. No one's looking at you. No one's got any. You got nothing. Geech, gats. No one's talking. You're just in your own little spot, and it's just horrible. And I remember picking up
dark humour somewhere there, so you've got to have some sort of laugh somewhere.
The dark humour is this. I remember picking up my phone and thinking, I'm going for a friend here. And normally you get hundreds of text messages, as you all know. Most of them usually from my brother saying how much he loves me. but because he's drunk somewhere at the rugby club. But I'll take that. I was expecting a bit of that, and nothing. And I had a.
That's worse.
I know.
That's
Amazing when you win games of rugby, you got thousands of messages.
The
right?
2 messages I did get, one was from my then wife Kate, and one from Mum. And Kate understands. Listen, we're all fine. Give me a ring. She knows you've got all the protocols to do, physio, all the press bits and pieces. But the other one was from my mum, and for my mum to send a text message is nothing short of a miracle. And only a mother can say this, but what she didn't say, which said everything, is when you know you had an absolute shitter, and all it read was, "We still love you." And, I remember that, and luckily, the worst bit about it all. So the second test.
Yeah.
So I'm now thinking about my granddad now. So Adam's got selected, and rightly so. Adam's a fucking good bloke, and I'm there, but I have to go as a non-playing reserve for the front row because if someone gets injured in the warm-up, you've got to be ready to go. So you've got to go match prepped, ready to go, but knowing that you're not really involved. So I still have to go, still have to do the bit at the stadium, do the warm-up. I think Bryce Lawrence was the touch judge, so all the 3 of them come in. And you can see he caught eye contact with me and he put his head straight down. I thought, right, you fucker. No. I walked straight over to him, put my hand out and waited, and he looked up. I said, "Bryce, lovely to see you. Hope everything goes well for you today." I thought, yeah, you fucker. But anyway, that's another...
Listen,
But the only reason I got the chance to come back...
I was going to say, the third test we want to talk about,
was because poor old Adam dislocated his shoulder in that second test. So I'm in the stand, and when you see a grown man crying in pain, and I've gone in with him to help him, and some blokes like knee on his back and trying to get back in, and Bomb is screaming, then I'm thinking, my God, his missus. So I'm trying to find his phone to let people know that he's all right, and I'm thinking, what the hell am I doing? And the only reason I got a chance to play in the third test is because poor old Adam, and I tell you what, put your hand down, I tell you what, I remember more than anything was for the third test, this fucking Gat said something to me, and he knew it would piss me off, so he did it for a giggle. He had all this mind game shit, don't they? He said, "Can I trust you to play?"
Really?
Yeah, he said, "Can I trust you?" So fucking hell, I am fired up now inside, and Shaun was there as well, but he's like a bit sheepish, Shaun, when he said it, and he didn't say nothing. So I said, "Well, it's entirely up to you, Gats." I said, "I'll go out," and I said, "Oh, whatever it was, give him my best." I thought, "I'm not going to rise to your bollocks." Then Shaun came up to me afterwards, and as Gats walked out, he goes, "It's all right, mate. He doesn't know you like I do." I know. Don't worry.
Well, funny enough, we had Gats here, and we asked him about that, and he was full of nothing but admiration for. He didn't mention what he said to you there, but he was full of admiration for the way that you played and the way that you responded. And he says that he makes that one of the highlights of his career, really, in terms of.
Listen, I'm very lucky to have gone out, and I still say today, yes, the Lions' first test. I didn't actually know it at the time, but that was actually my last game of international rugby.
Was it really?
I never got back with England because I had another neck op and my shoulder reconstruction, hoping to get back, and I never actually played international rugby again. And to walk off the field on that stadium to stand an ovation from everybody was just bloody magical. And we won. And playing with Shawsey. I remember speaking to Shawsey during that game because it's a hell of a game of rugby, that.
Yeah.
Oh. If you want to watch a rewatch.
I'll not be funny. The test series was brutal.
Yeah, it was a brilliant game of rugby. And I remember looking at Shawsey. I remember looking at Shawsey, it's like midway through the first half. We looking at each other going, he goes, "It's quick, isn't it?" Because Shawsey was a fit boy.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And it was all over the place. And some of the tries and the way the rugby was played was just
Ricky
absolutely
Flutie and Tommy Bowe finished off in the centres, didn't they?
Well, let me tell you had the most spectacular career. So thank you for sharing some of those moments with us. Now talk about quick. We've got some quickfire questions for you.
They're not really quick because I'm dyslexic, so it'll be fine now. So we've got some quickfire questions for you. Are you ready?
Yep.
You ready? Okay. Yeah. Your sporting hero.
Sporting hero growing up would have been Daley Thompson.
Oh, yeah.
Great one.
Funniest teammate.
Tim Payne.
Grumpiest.
Best player you've played with?
Best player I played with would have to be Jason Robinson.
Ooh. Best player you played against?
John Olomu.
Ooh. Most underrated player you've played with?
Oh, goodness me. Probably Lawrence, actually. Yeah.
Was it? Funniest front row. Funniest front row comment you've heard during your career.
Oh, God, no. I never used to do banter. I wouldn't know. I've been abused, called many names.
You're funny though. What you're not.
Probably Christian Califano, one of the funniest things he said to me.
What did he say?
Early in my career, because he was a hero. And we were after the game, I played against him, felt so proud of myself. It was Califano, Ibanez, Tournaire, like the magic front row.
Yeah.
And we'd done them, and I'd done a good job on Christian. And he came up to me after the game, we were in the whatever, and I had my then girlfriend and it was Sally, and he said, in like broken, "Is this your girlfriend?" I said, "Yes." He said, "I come play in England."
And he did.
Got the Saracens.
Yeah. Best day on a rugby pitch.
Best day?
Yeah.
Oh, God, too many. Obviously, the international one, the Lions stuff, amazing, but I have to say, when you win something with people that you're with every single week, all year round, and I think being at Wasps when we with the Premiership and with the Heineken Cup, with European Cup, to be stood on the field being a champion of Europe with a club is just extra special.
Yeah. Toughest day on the pitch.
God, loads. Loads and loads and loads. I think probably losing, being a runner-up in Rugby World Cup, or being a captain of your country in a final and losing, knowing that no one will ever remember it, but really proud of everything which went on.
Get to a quarter-final, nobody remembers it. Let me tell you. What would your teammates say about you?
Lots, probably a cross-section of everything, but I hope that they enjoy playing with me. I hope they'll have some laughs about me, but whatever anyone says about me, I'm a good bloke, so hopefully they say that.
They do. First car you owned?
First car I owned was a Maestro van, B353YOD.
What was your favourite movie of all time?
I think probably either Shawshank Redemption or Seven.
The Stick to Rugby crew are coming around for dinner. What are you preparing for us?
I'd have you, a bit like yesterday, I'd probably do like a sirloin, a whole roast, a sirloin, and we go traditional, like this time of year, we get some asparagus out with it, potatoes, we'd have a nice little bit of red wine, maybe some shandy for you. But just keep things really simple. Just celebrate things. Sit down, laugh, put it on the table, plates,
Book us in.
pile in.
Book us in.
When you're free.
Book us in.
You'll be more than welcome. Yeah.
Finally, you are Deputy Lieutenant of Gloucestershire.
Yeah.
Any perks?
No, you just get to go and see loads of amazing projects, put people forward for awards and honours, and
Oh dear!
Just
don't you
spread-
get to
spread
don't
the
you
word.
don't get you get to drive your cattle through the centre of
sheep
town or
yeah.
something?
I do.
Oh, is that
but
the
I
key?
got that.
You get to inseminate your cattle.
No, I got
choice.
I got given the freedom of
free
the city
reign.
of
That's
freedom
the
of
one.
the city of Gloucester, which allows me, I think, on the whatever Friday of whatever month, I can drive my cattle through to the town centre or city centre. But I don't think I would try it.
Oh wait, come on, we'll all go.
We could cause a few problems.
We'll all go. It'll be brilliant.
Well, Phil,
that's a quick
thank
one.
you very much, mate. You are one of rugby's true greats.
Thank you.
True gentleman, and now you're a Stick to Rugby great as well. Thank you very much indeed.
Lovely to see you. Thanks for
I think
having
my
me.
favourite guest
Favourite guest?
so
Say that
far.
about
No,
all of them.
I don't.
She doesn't.
I
actually.
really
She
don't.
doesn't.